We start with a confession. Why? Because this horrifying dance and that horrifying bra illustrates every point I'm going to make today. Because and I'm going to tell you every project, every fashion, what's selling, what sold yesterday. I'm going to tell you that. But I'm going to tell you first what's always selling. Because what's always selling is really hard to do. Now think of your favorite movies. What are you thinking about? You're thinking about moments, images, and characters. That's what you're thinking about. Now, we're going to talk about how to do that. I'm Peter Russell. I'm a story doctor. I'm not a producer, and I'm not a writer. I'm the doctor. I come in when things are awful, when the story doesn't work, and I try to make it better. Now, a few years ago, I found out that I wanted to teach. Just a few years ago. And I got amazingly passionate about it. And so I started working at UCLA. And then I started my own little story company. And what I know about story is what I'm going to share with you today, because that's what's selling. And I'm going to give you trends. But I want to tell you something else. How many here want to create movie story? Who here wants to produce? Okay, great. Who wants to write? Oh, a bunch of you. Okay, great. What's your most embarrassing secret? What's the yeah? What is your most embarrassing secret? The one you would be horrified to tell anybody. Are you thinking of it right now? Yeah, you are. Because it's kind of hard not to think about it now, isn't it? What if I made you somehow with scopolamine get up here and tell everybody in this room that horrifying, embarrassing secret that you probably want to think about yourself? Well, let me tell you something. Every great writer I've ever worked with, and I've worked with a lot, that's what they do. And it's scary as shit to do that, isn't it? Can you imagine just blurting that out in public? How would that work? Now, I know there's a lot of movie books like Save the Cat. And you probably, how many have read Save the Cat? Okay. Now, that book is great for structure. But it doesn't tell you about the heart of why movies are great. In my opinion. This is just all my opinion, guys. Because movies are great not because of beat sheets and not because they conform to genre, which I teach, by the way. I believe in genre. It's incredibly important. But if the movie is only a set of beat sheets, it's going to suck. Because embarrassing secrets lead to wonderful original characters. Embarrassing secrets always lead to original great characters. And without that, you've got no movie. So let's talk about our inner problems. Who here wants to tell me their deepest, most embarrassing, painful personal secret? The one that's humiliating. Oh, God, look at, there's a guy who's already on the path. Oh. That's not your most embarrassing secret. Anyway, you sound English. I would have to pull it out of you with pliers. Who here has an inner problem? Who is damaged almost beyond repair? Well, let me tell you something. Most of you are damaged deeply because you want to be artists. And almost always when you want to be an artist, it comes out of pain. And it comes out of feeling like you're different. Most of the really successful people I've worked with are damaged deeply. Doesn't make them assholes, by the way. They're some of the sweetest people you've ever met. But they're damaged deeply. And where do secrets come from? I'm getting somewhere with this, guys. Trust me. Our wounds. Who wounds us? Anybody want to guess? Where do all of our core wounds come from? The things that make us do things like marry guys who have chupacabra tattoos on their chest, or women who are going to set us on fire with gasoline. Where do these wounds come from? Some of them, you're exposing yours now. But who wounds us? Mommy and daddy, usually. Sometimes an uncle, sometimes an aunt. Ourselves? No, we hardly ever do that because we're sweet and we're innocent when we come into this world. I believe in Rousseau, versus the Enlightenment. The people, yes. They wound us, and those wounds drive our entire life, guys. Now, I'm going to tell you my embarrassing secret right now. I want you to look at my face, and I want you to rate it. Don't tell me. Don't shout it out. I want you to pick out my worst facial feature, and look at this. Suddenly you're interested. And my best facial feature, don't tell me. I had someone shout out the other day, "You've got huge ears!" I know I do. So don't shout it out. Just think about it. Now I'm going to tell you my most painful and embarrassing personal secret. I had a disease called body dysmorphia. Does anybody here know what that is? What is it? When you look in the mirror, you think something's either way too big or way too small. Let's keep it on the face for now. What do you think I think is too big? Because I thought something in high school was too big on my face. What do you think it was? What is something that is just outrageously huge on my face? Okay? Now you've all thought of it? Now I'm going to tell you. I thought I had lips the size of Mick Jagger. I thought my lips were so big they would knock people over. I wouldn't kiss a girl in high school because that would make my lips bigger. Now, I got counseling, I got over it, but that's a core wound, by the way. It came from my mother. I thought that I was ugly. And everything I did in high school was about that. I ate lunch in the bathroom, in a stall. I wore chapstick because of that. I wouldn't kiss a girl because of that. My wound drove everything I did. And why was that interesting for you to hear? I've been talking a long time already, and some of you have already zoned out, which, believe me, I would do too. I have ADD. I can't sit anywhere. But if you were listening to me, it was because I was telling you something true, something secret about myself. And you perked up like, oh, he's going to tell me something true, not some pablum bullshit about save the cat. Some pain, his pain. Every time you write a good story, you write out of pain. And I have a pain right now. I forgot to plug in my computer. So hang on 1 second. A friend of mine had a computer that when his power went out, his MOVs began to play. Do you know what that meant? Yeah. All of his porn started playing. It was actually very interesting. Why was it interesting when that happened? Because it was his pain. And he was embarrassed. It was horrible. Everyone saw what he liked sexually. Now, I'm going to just tell you this. Whenever I read a script that's about other movies or other books, and it's made up from your imagination instead of what's actually happened to you, I'm bored shitless. I've read 6,000 scripts for the studios, and I can tell when someone's making something up and is not true to themselves. Does this mean you got to write about your pain all the time? No. But you got to fit your pain into whatever genre you're talking about. I'm bored when I don't get that. Now, let's just go ahead and show you how this works, because you're never going to believe anything I say unless I'm going to show you a lot of movies today. That's what I do at school. Otherwise, it's just like, yeah, okay, buddy, sure. Now, I'm going to show you a tool called the confessional in a movie called Superbad. Now, the writer of this movie, and this is about two adolescent guys, this actually happened to him. And I want to show you why it works, all the crap I've been telling you. Here it is.
I would do terrible, disgusting things to Velvet Jewels. Unforgivable things. Get my middle nut and start dating that guy.
Now, these two guys are 17, and they just want to do one thing, have sex. Now, look what Big Boy tells us now. It's kind of excruciating, and it's true. This happened to the writer.
That is a bitch.
Okay, now why is that compelling? Because it's the truth about this writer who wrote this. It's the truth, and it's terribly embarrassing, isn't it? It kind of made you cringe. And that's what great stories do. This is a way to create an original, cool character, no matter what kind of story you're writing about. Do you want to put this in a sci-fi movie? You do. Not, of course, about drawing dicks, although that's what Kubrick did in 2001. Most of his spaceships were just dicks. But tell the truth. That's what you have to do. I just swear it, guys. As a story doctor, this is what I know. Now, when you write your story, you start with a bleeding core wound. That's what this guy had. Came from his mom. Talk to him about it. Every character you ever create, every story you ever tell, is going to have a hero in it with a bleeding core wound at the beginning. Every one, always. Great characters start out bleeding, and the entire story is them healing that wound. Every time. Love stories, romances, sci-fi, it doesn't matter. I challenge you to give me your greatest... Give me a favorite movie. Who's got a favorite movie here? Yes, sir. Godfather. Okay. What's Michael Corleone's core wound? His family. What about his family? He's a war hero, right? What's his family? They're criminals. What does he say to Kay at the beginning of the movie? They're not like me. I'm not like them. Right? He went and got to be a war hero. Now, what happens to him? By the way, it's a tragedy. In a tragedy, the core wound doesn't get healed. In the end of the movie, it's ripped wide open. What's his core wound? I'm not like my family. What happens in the end of that movie? He's just like his family. That core wound is ripped and bleeding. It's a tragedy. He kills some of his family and becomes a master criminal. Anybody else got a movie they love? I'm sorry? Galaxy Quest. That's a comedy, but who's the hero there? Who changes the most? The hero is always the person who changes the most. Who? Which one's that? Okay, I don't know the movie very well. Is that the guy, Tim Allen? Yes, he's washed out. What's his core wound then? He's useless. What happens through the course of the movie? He heals that wound. He becomes powerful. And at the end of the movie, he's healed it. One other movie, anybody? What, Titanic? Titanic. Who's the hero of Titanic? Who changes the most? Rose. What's her core wound? Who's she about to marry? Billy Zane. What's he doing to her at the beginning of the movie? He's smothering her, controlling her, bullying her. What's her core wound? I can't be myself. I'm not good enough. What does Jack teach her to do? Be herself. She's good enough. Does she stand up to Billy Zane at the end? She does. Why? Because she's healed that core wound. Guys, this always works in movies. I want you to think of Hollywood movies as a cinematic boxing ring. And into this ring comes our hero with a bleeding core wound. By the way, I'm getting to what'll sell. Believe me, I will. But this is what really sells. In this wounded guy is a core wound, bleeding, no matter what movie, always. Now, he's not bleeding from anything unspecific. Here's core wounds. Here's the core wound in Star Wars. I can't be myself. Michael, I don't understand. And the wrestler, I'm just a fuck-up. I can't change. That's a tragedy, by the way. He ends up bleeding in the ring. He doesn't change. How to Train Your Dragon. I don't belong. My father doesn't love me. Easy A. I'm not good enough. I'm going to have to lie and say I'm a slut. Core wounds come in 3 flavors because Hollywood follows the psychotherapeutic model of human behavior to a T. If you don't believe in Freud, don't write for Hollywood because that's how characters change. Now, core wounds can be about myself. Look at all the core wounds in these movies. Kneel and Dead Poets, I Can't Be Myself. I'm damaged beyond repair, Randy the Wrestler. I don't belong, Hiccup, How to Train Your Dragon. I'm unlovable, AI. I'm not safe. I'm invisible, that's Todd. That's Olive and Easy A. I'm not good enough, that's Stu in The Hangover. Yes, The Hangover follows this model. I'm going to show you how it does in a minute, because I know you're skeptical. Here's typical core wounds about other people. Other people are stupid. Women are bitches. Watch out for them. Men are bastards. They'll screw you every time. Anybody go around with these core wounds? Anyone have these core wounds? You might. Nobody understands me. I go to a party. Nobody wants to hear what I have to say. I'm always listening to other nudniks talk. I say a word, they're all bored. I'm invisible. Okay. Typical core wounds against the world. The world's against me. God doesn't exist. There's no right or wrong. That's Woody Allen, by the way. Now, into this ring come a dozen people, like a wrestling match. And these people are either to rip open his wound or to heal it. Some want to help him. Those are our impact reflectors. And some want to tear that wound open. Those are the villains. Okay? This is the whole journey always. In Superbad it is too. In the end, the healer is either healed or he's ripped wide open. That's it. Every film ever. And it'll be true in the hit movie that you create. By the way, bad movies don't do this. What sells is this. What makes a great movie is this. And these impact characters we're going to see in a movie. Now, by the way, 90% of the time I pass on a script is because the hero doesn't change. Everybody can write a first act with a cool world and a cool hero. But can they change him? That's the second act. And that's hard to do. Okay? So you change a hero with impact characters like villains. They rip the wound open. Good mentors, they heal the wound. Think of the good mentors that have a big bandage in the wound to put them in. Mentors, reflectors, catalysts. We don't have time to talk about all these characters. They're all who shape your story. What's your core wound? Anyone want to give me a core wound? Who's got a core wound that they can share with me? Everybody's got about a dozen, by the way. Mine is that my mommy didn't love me. Okay, I'll just start out. Okay? Nobody else want to say? No? English guy, you're not going to talk now? Okay. You're trying to think? You don't have to think what? Why? The whole world was against you. That's a great core wound. Why do you think the world was against you? Why do you think you did you think other people understood the world and they looked powerful? Have you ever seen a movie called Welcome to the Dollhouse? Todd Solondz? Anybody seen that movie? It's a brilliant movie about how evil it is to be in school. How everyone's evil, everyone's against you. Everybody here have that experience in school? Core wounds get healed how? How'd you heal your core wound? You had a psychiatrist. You had a mentor. Didn't. What helped you? Yeah. This is your story. This is why we're interested in you, because you're telling the truth. Nobody else here has told the truth. And not that you don't have to. I'm not castigating you. But the reason we're interested in you right now is you're telling us the truth. Do you see how that works? I'm not going to push him any farther. This is every story you'll ever tell. And if this bores you, look out. Look out. It can. Now, let's talk about how this works in a movie, because I know you don't believe me until you see it in a movie. So let's show it in a movie. Let's show it in a movie called The Hangover. In The Hangover, who wants to tell me what The Hangover's about? We're getting to what will sell. By the way, this sold pretty damn good. Who's the hero in Hangover? Stu. Why is Stu the hangover? Why is he the hero? And he changes the most, right? How does he change? What's his core wound? Let's take a look. It's right here. Here's his girlfriend. What kind of character do you think she is? Do you think she's ripping his core wound open, or do you think she's healing it? Let's listen. What do you think his core wound is? Why is he tolerating this behavior? Because she's really kind of a bitch, right? He doesn't think he's lovable. Why? I would venture half the people in this room have a core wound of I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. Other people are just better than me. They're better than me in a lot of shit. But he has it specifically in a way, because he's going on a road trip now to Las Vegas. And what's he telling her? That he's not doing that. He has to lie, because when we're insecure and we don't feel good enough, we lie. We lie to do what? We lie to please the people we need to please. And that's what he's doing. She, by the way, is the villain of this story because she wants to destroy him. She's ripping his core wound wide open every time she speaks. Now, let's meet another kind of character. We have reflective characters who show us the truth about our lives. That's every gay best friend in a romantic comedy. It's a character that shows the hero the truth. Now, we have 3 reflectors sitting in that car out there. Now, watch how they're going to reflect the truth to Stu. What are they telling him? What are they telling him? You're such a wuss. You let this girl just take your balls and put them under the porch, my friend. They're reflectors.
That's a good idea, Dr.
Now, he starts out this movie bleeding from this core wound, I'm not good enough. He's bleeding profusely, guys. And what's going to heal this wound? Yes. In fact, the stripper he marries is a reflective character. And why is she a reflective character? What is she showing him? She loves him. He's a doctor. What's she showing him? What's his core wound? Yes, you're good enough. Guys, have you ever been told you're good enough by a girl that you liked? What is the effect on you? It's profound. Core wound. Core wound. So, now, we're going to meet a trickster, too, as well as a reflector. Anyone know what a trickster is in the story? You have 8 different kinds of characters in the story that all heal wounds. Tricksters are people like Toto and R2-D2, and by the way, Zach Galifianakis in this movie. Okay? Now that's the core wound. Let's watch and see how it starts to get healed. Here we go. Watch what tricksters do. Tricksters lead you into trouble and then out of trouble. Watch how Zach Galifianakis does that. Now, Pretty Boy Bradley Cooper is a reflector who's showing Stu he's a what? He's a pussy, okay? This is how guys talk. I'm talking like guys talk. Now, watch how he does it here. Okay. Another gross but true confession. This is compelling, guys. This makes this movie non-generic. It's painful to watch, isn't it, a little bit? Ooh. That means it's good. It's telling you the truth. And the reflecting here, Stu, you're a pussy. And that's going to help change him. Now, remember I told you Zach is a trickster. That means he gets you into trouble as well as getting you out. And he has a special talent. Now, how does Zach get them into trouble in this movie? Anyone remember? Roofies. Here it happens. Now, tricksters lead him into trouble. But he's also saying to Stu, Stu, we're brothers. Forget that girl of yours. Be a brother with me. That's healing his wound. Yes. A little bit, but he's really mostly a trickster, like Toto, right? Toto leads Dorothy to Oz, right? R2-D2 leads Luke to the mentor. So he's really more of a trickster, but he has a special talent that's going to get him out of trouble as well. You're going to see. Now, the story leaps forward 14 hours because he's slipped roofies into their drinks. That's also helping Stu, because what does Stu have to do? He's got to loosen up, and he does. Now, we go into a mystery story. He had to be drugged to change, right? That's how stick up the ass he is. Now, when they wake up, something has happened to change Stu. Now, it's hard for us to change. And in a movie, it has to be visual, so he's lost his tooth, but he's learning. He's healing his core wound. This is our BMOC question, guys. We have a tool. There's one question asked 4 times in a movie, the 30, 60, 90, 100 page point. Always. It's the same rhythm always. It's a tool we invented, but it works. Just trust me. And this is the BMOC question. It's always as the hero changed. And the BMOC question here is, will Stu realize he's good enough to be himself? All right? That's it. Now, that's the moral of the story. And there's common movie morals. This is one of them. And that's the bandage that heals him. Now, this is how he gets healed. Now, the only way Stu will change was to be drugged. And he's about to find out what he did. Drugged. And they're going to meet another reflective character. Remember, they tell the truth that the hero needs to learn. Here he is. He's going to tell him, you're cool. You're cool because of what you did last night. And what did he do last night? This. He got married. Reflector. Now, Stu's horrified, but he's about to not be horrified. Why? Because Jade's pretty cool. Now, we don't change our wounds quickly. It takes time in a movie, and he's still lying to Melissa. But how do you change your hero in a cool way? You do it with this tool, the BMOC tool. It's the 4 times in the movie your hero is asked to change. And this is, you just have to trust me because we don't have time to go into why this works. It works in every film. It's the hidden pattern that you can use to make your movie better. It'll organize your whole movie. Okay? And it's really about, will Stu wake up and be himself? I'm not good enough. He's going to learn he is good enough. How? Like this. Everything about him is scared, hiding from life. Well, not anymore. Here comes our B point, and here it is. Here it is. Meet his big reflector. She loves him. He's a dentist. She couldn't be happier that she's married to him. And look how she's going to change him. Look how much she adores him. That's all it takes to change him. Now notice, he's not lying anymore. He's not lying to her. She's good for him. She's changing him. She's making him better. Now, where the mystery plot takes over. Now notice, the trickster has led him into more trouble, but it's going to get him out too. Now, remember, Alan is who's gotten them into trouble. Now, here comes the end point of our BMOC. Remember, it's Stu, will you realize you're good enough? It's the same question asked 4 times. This only happens in good movies. It's how they organize themselves. The end point and the question is this. Now, they need $80,000. How are they going to get it? Remember that we have a trickster in their group. Now remember, the trickster has a special talent. What is it? Anybody remember from the movie? What's Alan's special talent? He's a blackjack natural. He's going to get them out of trouble with his blackjack counting skills. That's what tricksters do. And notice that Stu's got to be in on it too. And he is. But will Stu go along? Will Stu have confidence? Answer, yes. Here he comes. And check him out. New Stu. Cool Stu. Stu the stud. The trickster gets them out of trouble. Stu's got his balls back. Now, remember, I'm not good enough. That's his problem. So, Stu is so confident he can solve the mystery now. Now, we've got to the O point of the BMOC. The O point is the all is lost moment. It's when the answer to the question, Stu, are you good enough? Have you changed? The answer will be no. And here it is. He breaks up with the stripper. He's not going to change. He's lost it again. He's bleeding from that corona again. I'm not good enough. I'm going to go back to my awful girlfriend. But the C point of our BMOC is only 10 minutes after the O. 30 minutes between the others, 10 between this. Here it is. The O point, and now here comes the C. And this, remember what's the BMOC question? Anybody? Will he be good enough? Watch the answer at the C. And this is why we have this rhythm. It's gratifying to an audience. Here it is. Will he be himself? Looks like he's going to fail. He's going to lie again. But remember, this is the climax. Can he change? Healed. Yes. C point. Yes. Okay. So, guys, this rhythm is always the same in a movie, this BMOC rhythm. Now, the reason I show you this is to show you how core wounds work. And the truth is embarrassing. So now let's talk about what's selling now, because that's important. That's what the title of my friggin' talk is about. But this, I want you to understand, is why movies make it. Because they have rhythms and they have a character with a core wound at the beginning. Now, I'm going to talk to you about what sells. And this can be depressing for writers, always, okay? Because writers hate the idea they have to sell their work. I want you to understand that studios don't buy stories, they buy concepts, all right? Now, we're talking about studios here, mostly independents. Now, what is a concept? Anybody want to tell me what a concept is? A concept is this. An idea so compelling that the idea of it conjures up an adventure. What is a concept? It's a situation that holds dramatic interest. It's a movie poster, okay? Here is a concept. It's a movie poster. Now, what's the concept in this movie? Who wants to tell me? It's real simple, guys. Anybody can tell me. You don't have to see the movie. Look at the poster. What is it? Yes. Yeah. And what is he doing when he's dating? What do we got here? Anybody who remember The Graduate, that's famous poster, so even if you don't. What's in the foreground here? Yeah, somebody's giving him a show. So what do we know this movie is about? Crazy, stupid love. It's obvious. This is the shop window. This is the concept. It's going to be Steve Carell and all these good-looking people, Ryan Gosling, Julianne Moore, Emma Stone, Marisa Tomei, and, of course, Kevin Bacon. You can't have a movie without him. And it's about crazy, stupid love. It's simple. Even a chimp could understand that. Yes, that's a concept. It's obvious. This is another reason writers don't like it. What's your concept in your story? Anybody want to tell me? Who can tell me their concept in 5 words? Don't say it's about this very sensitive person and he starts out and he begins to write poetry, but at the end he goes into the summer camp. What's your concept? This is why writers hate this. Anybody want to give me a concept of their movie? It's a scary thing to do, isn't it? Guess what? This is what you got to do in a meeting. Anybody want to give me a concept? Okay, yes. Hang on, just a second.
There's a mother who's wilder and sexier than her daughter.
That's a great concept. There's a mother who's wilder and crazier than her daughter. I can see a whole movie from that. I like that, actually. Because why, guys? We can see it. Yes, it's clear. Bravo to you for having the guts to say that and have everybody judge you. That's what we all have to do. Judge you as having a good story, too, by the way. It's risky to say that. You open yourself up, don't you? Now, here is another concept, by the way. And by the way, the concept is always from the second act of the movie because that's the poster of your movie. That's where everything happens. Here, what's this concept? Anybody remember this movie? What's the concept here? Giant asteroid hitting the Earth. 5 words. That is pretty clear, isn't it? You can say, wait a minute, Peter, that was a crappy movie. Yes, it was. It was really shitty. It also made $700 million. That's depressing, but here we go. Concept. An asteroid hitting the Earth. Simple. You could say, well, Peter, this is why Hollywood movies suck. Yes, it is. But most great movies are better than this. But the concept here was so strong that it alone sold the picture. Look at the concept here. It's not the story of the movie. Anybody remember what happens in Armageddon? You had a clue? What goes on? And I can't remember. I know that Liv Tyler's in it. She's hot. What else happened? Bruce Willis does something. I don't remember what. Something, yeah, who knows? Who cares? It's about an asteroid hitting the Earth. When an asteroid the size of Texas heads for Earth, the world's best deep core drilling team is sent to nuke the rock from the inside. That's it. Now, by the way, Michael Bay is sorry about Armageddon. He's confessed that he did it in 3 weeks, and now he wishes he'd made a better movie. Okay? He's the king of high concept. Anybody know what a high concept is versus a low concept? Low concept movies can make big bucks. American Beauty is about as low concept as it gets. What's the difference between a high concept and a low concept movie? Yes. And yes, and why? What is not important in a high concept movie? That's not true. It's funny though. Character. Well, this is a former student of mine, so you still get an A. Characters aren't important. Do you remember character in Armageddon? No. Do you remember it in a movie called Twister? Anybody remember Twister? What's the high concept in Twister? Tornado! Tornadoes, look out! Tornadoes! That's it. Do you remember what happens in Twister? No. Helen somebody is with Bill somebody. Maybe. I don't remember. Do you? No. Because it's about tornadoes. High concept. Right? That's, and I have a point, by the way, of all this. Most of the time in a high concept, well, no, if it's a really great movie, it also has great characters. Okay? There's a high concept movie that's also fantastic. Anybody want to tell me what it is? Just came out recently. Because Star Trek, high concept, yes. Great characters, yes. Look at this. Here's the opening to Armageddon. Okay, everybody got that? Yeah, you got it. Asteroids are coming. That's it, okay? And a voiceover, bad sign. Voiceovers are always a bad sign. Okay. I don't think all high concept movies are bad. Why, by the way, is a voiceover a bad sign? Yes, that's precisely right. It's like you're dreaming and someone says, hey, wake up, I got something interesting to tell you about your dream. What? Okay. Some are fantastic. Here is a fantastic high concept movie. Lord of the Rings. Because the characters are great too. But it's high concept. Unstoppable. Unstoppable made a bunch of money. Who Denzel Washington play? What was his core wounds? Who gives a shit? It's about this. The train is the hero. The train's the villain. What's the high concept in Unstoppable? Guess from the title? Unstoppable! Very simple, yes? Trust me, guys, I have a point here. Now, here is a low concept movie. Here's where the characters matter more than the concept. You ever remember Juno? What would you call Juno? What if you were pitching Juno, how would you pitch it? What's the story? Yeah, but you're being sophisticated, Eric. I want you to just be simple, like you're talking to a studio executive. That's it. Is that high concept? Not unless you're kinky that way, no. Who cares? You care because the characters are great. And character can't be put easily on a movie poster, right? That's the whole movie. And it's brilliant, but it's not high concept. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is that we're going to talk now about what sells and what doesn't. And what's selling right now? Anybody want to guess? What is Hollywood going through right now? Who wants to tell me? What just happened this summer? 8 huge high concept movies. Any of them any good? Anybody seen a good high concept movie this summer? I haven't. They've all kind of blown. So what's and we all know what Spielberg said, right? It's very famous now. Hollywood is conservative as hell right now. This is why most of what really is interesting going on in storytelling is on television. Because Hollywood right now is serving what market? 70% of Hollywood revenues come now internationally. That means they want movies that sell, particularly in Asia. Hangover 2 was set in Asia for that reason. So Hollywood's very conservative right now. So when you are conservative, you want to find a container that the audience likes. A container is a box in which you're putting your story. It's the shape of your story. Anybody here know a movie called Lost in Translation? What's the box of that story? Because it's very low concept. What's the box of the story? Okay, let's take this very good movie that you talked about, where a mother is hotter and sexier than her daughter. Now, where are you setting that movie? In Texas. Already, I like it. Why? Why does that make the movie immediately more appealing? Yes, anybody. You created it, so tell me. Actually, you know what? I don't want to hear from you. I want to hear from somebody else, because you only did the story. Yes, what do you think of when you think of Texas? We are thinking of a very more specific place, right? Now, you may be contradicting that, but that's what we're thinking about. We're thinking about big characters, right? You're already making the story more specific. What else about the story do you have? Is it set in a particular town? Or what? Eastern European immigrants. Cool. Fish out of water. Another box. Great. Go ahead. Yes? Oh, my God. Even better. Now we've got a box which has a conflict in it. This is getting more and more interesting. Now, I want to show you what typical story containers for Hollywood mean. Here we go. Biblical stories, Moses, fairy tales and fables, Shakespeare, Hamlet. These are our favorite stories. Pop culture ideas. Okay? Now, here are examples from recent spec sales. And I want to tell you right now that what's selling in Hollywood right now is comedy and action. Okay? Comedy and action. Here is a sale, recent sale. The Race. A billionaire inventor who has built an empire by creating next-generation cars, planes, boats, and motorcycles holds an around-the-world race with his latest inventions. What's the container here? Yeah, but it's Willy Wonka. It's a competition to see who's going to win. That's your container. That's what the studio wants. Here's a spec that just sold, Fuck Buddies. What's the container? This is a movie they made a couple years ago. The container is Fuck Buddies. We're going to see Fuck Buddies. That's it. And that's kind of a cool container. It made a movie called No Strings Attached. Not a great movie, made a lot of money. Here's examples from sold specs recently. Huck, reimagining in the vein of Snow White and the Huntsman, focusing on Sawyer. It's a version of Huckleberry Finn. That's a container. When you're thinking about studio movies, you think about containers. Here's one that just sold, a spec. More specs, by the way, sold in Hollywood last year than in 7 years. 140 movie specs. You guys know what a spec is? It's something you wrote. You don't have a name. You just come. You got the script. It's something you wrote. Man in the Rearview Mirror. Set in the 50s, Rune West story follows a man, his wife, and her mother who pursue a suspected kidnapper at high speeds on the freeway. You know it's the 50s because it's high speeds on the freeway. Container is a version of Rear Window, adding a twist to it, right? Now, opposites are important in your story, especially for a studio story. Here are opposites: power, weakness, confidence, caring, city, country, gay, straight, men, women, love, hate. Opposites drive great concepts. They make boxes. You've got an opposite in your movie about the girl. What are the opposites? You've got the mother and the daughter. She's sexy, the daughter's not. Cherries. Here's the story that just sold. 3 naive dads set out to stop their daughters from making good on a pact to lose their virginity on prom night. That's the concept, okay? Here's another one. Opposites. Dear Satan. Story follows a 7-year-old girl who accidentally misspells Santa and instead invites Satan to bring her a toy for Christmas. This is an opposite. Yes, just sold. Hot gimmicks and a new twist. This sells too. Switch the story. My owner's wedding. A regular old rom-com about 2 eligible young women. The man, both of them wanting his dog. But guess what? It's from the dog's perspective. Now, this could depress you as a writer, right? You're like, well, that is incredibly stupid. Well, guess what? That is incredibly smart because it's a twist on something we've seen time and time again. Here's another one that just sold. Peste. A teenage girl begins a video documentary about her life for a school project just as a terrifying virus sweeps through a small town. That's found footage. When did found footage start as a twist? What started that? Blair Witch. Paranormal activities we teach in my class. This is selling because it's a new twist on what? On a horror story. Here's another thing that sells. Here's another container. And this guy still sells. Die Hard. Die Hard in a prison. Die Hard in a prison. Die Hard in a box. Die Hard in a fucking van. Die Hard in a basement. We don't care because it's a closed space. That's a box, okay? So, here's another one. History from a new take. The script follows Pontius Pilate. Wow. Instead of Jesus, who we all know, hey, what about Pontius Pilate? Let's follow him. Concept, box, okay? Now, these are great containers. Containers limit the story. When you tell me your story's set in Texas, it's limited. It's limiting the story, yes? Okay, so take your story. Anybody else want to volunteer their story to me? Yes.
When a new baby comes into the lives.
Okay. Oh, so are they the parents of the baby? Okay, so it's 2 women raising a baby, 2 women having a baby, really, and raising. Okay, two women having a baby. That's great. Why is that great? It's a classic story, the story of a struggle to have a baby, except it's 2 women. I love that. That's old and it's new. Do we see how that's a great container? Excellent. That is kind of a high concept, guys. I would go see that movie if it was well done. Now I'm going to show you what's selling now. Here it is. This just sold. The incredible true story of Jessica and Drew who accidentally boned on the way to the wedding. This story centers on 2 people while on the way to a wedding hook up and fall in love. Okay? Sold 1/7/2012. What's the container here? Classic. It's a wedding. What's the twist? They're boning on the way to the wedding. Okay? Do you see how that's both old and new? Here's another one. Everybody Wants Head. A man with extreme OCD, this is sold for big bucks, inadvertently meets a shameless sex addict in group therapy. The 2 wind up on the run from the cops carrying a severed head and a bowling ball, okay? What's the container here? It's classic. Good guys on the run from bad guys. What's the twist? They're sex addicts and they're OCD, okay? Again, classic twist. Here's another one, Bermuda, log line. Set in a Bermuda Triangle, the story focuses on a documentary film crew that goes missing. Guess what? What's the container? Found footage, like Blair Witch. What's the twist? Bermuda Triangle. Well, that's cool. That's pop culture. It's set there. Okay, guys. Now, can you make your story a log line, by the way? Can you make your story into a log? Who here knows what a log line is? What's a log line? Yeah. It's the complete story of the movie from the perspective of the hero in one sentence. When you put your story into a log line form, do it in your head right now. Can you do it? Can you put the story you're thinking about telling into a sentence in a log line? When you try to do that, you learn a lot about your story. You may learn you don't have a story. You may learn that your hero doesn't change. Try it. Here's a log line, Coffee Town. Will, played by Glenn, and his two 30-something friends band together. What's the container? There is none. Why? Because it's low concept. We call that execution dependent. That means you got to make a good movie, right? And a star. That's what matters. Now, none of this works. None of these stories are going to work as great movies if they do not have personal confessions in them, guys. Wounds, showing your real wounds. It matters. Now, I'm going to show you one last thing, and then we'll have a little bit of time for questions. Webisodes are cool and hot right now, and Hollywood just bought a webisode based on this. Anyone heard of Awkward Black Girl? It's a webisode, okay? What is it? It's taking a familiar awkwardness and twisting it like Girls in the Office. Here it is. Now, this webisode gives you every element I've talked about. Confessional, truth, opposites, and wounds. Here they are. And humiliation. So even in this little webisode, you see every concept I've talked about. So that's it for me, guys. This is what's selling. Does anybody have any questions? Wow. Yes. Yes, of course. Who's the hero of Inception? What's his wound at the beginning of the movie? Yep. Why? What did he do to her? Yep. He killed her. So she does what through the movie? She barges in on everything he tries to do. How does he heal? With the help of who? A reflective character. What's her name? Yep. How does she heal him? She cares. She follows him down to that lowest level and helps him get away from that girl. And then he confesses to her, yes, our confessional tool, that he killed her. And he's healed by that. The model I give you works in every fucking movie you've ever seen. I dare you to give me one where it does not work. If it's a shitty movie, it won't work. That's why it sucks. Terminator. What's the wound? Who's the hero? What's her wound? Actually, the little boy's the hero. What's the wound? Anybody? Nope. Yes, think about it, guys. It's a very simple journey. Every great movie has this wound at its center, has a hero with a wound at its center. The only exception is a superhero story. Leonidas in 300 has no wound. Superheroes do not have wounds. So why do we want to watch them? We want to see them get stronger and stronger and stronger. That's the challenge in a superhero movie. Harry Potter's a superhero movie. He doesn't change. Leonidas doesn't change in the end. The villain gets stronger and stronger and stronger, but that's the only exception to this rule. Give me another movie. Or ask another question. We don't have to do this forever. Yes. Oh, God, what's Ray's wound? Pretty obvious. He's blind. And he's addicted. What changes him? What is his wound? He's alone. What changes him? Give me another movie. Okay, Usual Suspects. Who's the hero? Gabriel Byrne. What's his wound? He's a shapeshifter, by the way, because we don't know what. We don't know if he's good or bad. What's his wound? How does he heal it? He's got a girl, got a love interest. Think about it. Give me another movie. I haven't seen J. Edgar, but I got a feeling I know what his wound is. Guys, the patterns I'm showing you are patterns we've discovered in our classes at How Movies Work. I hope you come to class. I'll show you a bunch more. There's a flyer here if you want. I love teaching. That's what I do. That's my passion. I'd love to have you in class. You can sign up for our email list too, or not. Any other questions? Yes. On selling, have a box for your movie, a container, have a concept for your movie, know whether it's high or low concept. If it's low concept, you need a star and you need a script, because then it's about the story, okay? If it's high concept and you haven't ever sold a movie before, you still need a story. You still need to write the story out. But genre is what we also teach in class, guys. Every genre has a different, secret, hidden rhythm and pattern to it. Rom-coms are totally different from romances, which are totally different from mystery thrillers, which are totally different from thrillers. If you try to write a mystery thriller and structure it unconsciously as a thriller, you will spin your wheels forever. Genre is a secret pattern beneath the surface. And when you understand what that structure is, it's like being handed a roadmap. We teach how the best story makers in every genre create their effects. For instance, in Inception, in every mystery thriller, the hero has to have an emotional change which, when he gets it, helps him solve the crime. That's the essence of one pattern in a mystery thriller. If you don't know that, you're not going to write a good mystery thriller. Every genre has patterns like this. So you've got to know your genre really well, what you're making. Now, this Texas story with the girl and the two girls, this sounds very much like a coming-of-age drama, maybe a dramedy. Well, guess what? In a coming-of-age drama, the hero goes the wrong way in the second act when they first start to change. In Dead Poets, Neil goes the wrong way in the second act because he lies to his dad. In every coming-of-age, in Juno goes the wrong way. She starts to hook up with Jason Bateman in the second act. These are things you need to know to write your story and make it a compelling story. These hidden patterns. Genre matters. Okay? Genre. It's very important. Yes? Yeah. No. Studios do not ever create drama. They never do. They buy everything at Sundance. Studios no longer make dramas. They hardly ever did. But don't let that stop you making a drama, because stars love dramas and directors love dramas. Get your drama to a star and they will champion it. That's how American Beauty got made. That's how almost every drama gets made. So if you have a drama, it's the most interesting genre there is. Why? Why is drama so great? Because it's not a cartoon. It's not about kids with lasers. It's about, can I love anybody? Is there really a God? I can't get the kind of sex I want. How do I get it? Adult problems, truths of life. If you want to make a drama, go for it. I'll be fascinated to read it. But you got to get a star to make it. Studios will not pick a drama now. This is why so much creative work now is being done in television and in independent and Sundance productions. Studios don't make them. But please pursue it. Also, it can be a great spec script for you. You can get work from a really great story. Please follow your passion. Don't follow fashion, because guess what? By the time you finish your story, Hollywood won't be buying the shit you tried to get them to buy in the first place. Follow your passion always. Okay? Any other questions before we start? Yes. Why do you love Kill Bill? Who's the hero of Kill Bill? Yeah, Uma Thurman. Now, what kind of character is Uma Thurman in Kill Bill? First of all, she's hot as hell. She kills people really well. She looks fantastic in a fucking jumpsuit. And guess what? She is a superhero. She doesn't change. Why do we watch her? For why I told you. Because the villain gets stronger and stronger and throws bigger and bigger challenges until that final scene, right? That's the whole reason you love that movie. to see if she can handle whatever the villain's throwing at her next. And they get bigger and bigger, those challenges. Okay? Think of the villain in a superhero movie like a demented trainer at Gold's Gym. You lifted 300 pounds, you mother? Lift 600. Oh, you did that? I lift 900. And by the way, those challenges peak at the B, M, O, and C points I told you about. That rhythm is how the superhero challenge is handled in a great superhero movie. Any other questions? I think we'll probably have to be done. Anyway, guys, that was great. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.